Hello everyone, Tina here for Simon Says Stamp. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm so glad you're joining us. Well, I have a fun project to share with you today. We're going to make a Shadowbox card. And you know, the Simon Says Stamp March 2025 card kit is going to go perfect for that. It's called Tweet Friends, or Tweet Friend. And I love the little branches in here and along with the little birds. And so I thought that would make a great Shadowbox card. So we're going to use that. We're also going to use the charms that came in the kit, just one of the round ones, along with the silver cording. We're going to use the fabulous embossing folder. We're going to use the 110-pound Nina Solar White cardstock. We're going to add a little bit of shimmer with our Bubblegum glitter cardstock. I'm in love with this. You get a half sheet. I already trimmed mine down though. And then we're also going to be using one of the fabulous bows in our Pretty Bows die set, along with one of the pattern papers that came with our kit this month. So we're going to jump in and get started. First off, we're going to do some stamping and coloring. I'm going to bring in my stamping positioner. I have it all ready to go here. And I love these little branches with the blooms on them. So I'm going to take the largest one that's in our stamp set. We're going to stamp that. And then we need to pick out a cute little birdie. I want my birdie to be singing, so I'm going to be using this one here. I'm going to actually stamp a couple extra flowers also. We'll stamp through all three of the extra flowers. And while we're at it, I'm going to stamp the word sing along with our secondary greeting that says, like no one is listening. We're going to get all of our stamping done here. I'm going to stamp with my Simon Says Stamp VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. Just going to go over these. This ink has become my new favorite. I just love it. We'll stamp this to give this a good press. I'm going to use my heat gun and dry this a little bit because I'm going to use my Copic markers to color these in. And I just want to make sure this is dry. Today I'm using Copic markers to color in my images. These are the markers we're going to be using. Okay, and just to shorten the video so it's not an hour-long video, what I'm going to do is speed it up. I'll play a little bit of music for you while I color. And then when I'm done coloring, I'll be right back. Now my coloring is all done. I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinating die set. I'll separate everything and then we'll die cut out all of our images and I'll be right back. All of my images are now die cut, so we're going to put these to the side, and then now we're going to work on our shadow box. To do that, we need our 8.5 by 11 sheet of Nina cardstock. All I'm going to do is take a paper trimmer and trim this piece in half. Trim it down at 5.5 inch mark. One of these we'll use as our card base. So what I'm going to do is bring in my scoring board. So I want to score this at 4 1/4. We'll make a side folding card for our shadow box. We'll fold this in half, and then I'll just reinforce that score line, and that will be our card base. And then for this piece, I'm going to bring back my paper trimmer, and I'm going to trim this to 6 1/4. So we'll just trim this piece off here. So now we have a cardstock sheet that's 5 1/2 by 6 1/2. I'm going to take the longer side, put it in my scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1 inch and then 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing. 1 inch and then 1/2 inch. And that's really all you need to do to create your shadow box. I'm going to go ahead and put this back. I'm not going to reinforce the score marks yet because we're going to do some die cutting. So I'm going to take one of my stitch rectangle dies and I'm going to center it here. I'm going to use my very, very low tack tape, and we'll tape this down. And then I will run this through my die cut machine. So now we have a window in this panel here. But now, before we reinforce those score lines, we're going to bring in our embossing folder. Let's go ahead and take this out. Now I'm going to line this up. You can see the corner edge here on the embossing folder. Not necessarily on the bottom, but you can definitely see that corner edge on the top. I'm going to line that up with this section here. Okay? So we're just going to put this in here. The nice thing is you can actually see through it. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to open it up now, and then I'm going to spray it with water. What the water does, it just helps, since it is a thick cardstock, it's just going to help loosen those fibers in the paper so it embosses more better and it doesn't crack the paper. I'll run this through my die cut machine and I'll be right back. Wonderful. The paper does warp a little bit, but that's okay. Now what we're going to do is take this panel and I'm going to reinforce those score lines. And we're going to do an accordion fold on them. This is the front. We're going to flip it over, fold this in. Okay, you can use your bone folder if you want, but I suggest going over it lightly because you don't want to smush any of your emboss detail here. And then you're going to fold this over like so. Okay, I'm going to open mine up and then reinforce that score line here. This way I'm not flattening our embossed card front. So this is what it looks like now. Okay, very easy to create. When you push it down, it pushes flat. You can see here. Okay, I'm going to bring in a piece of acetate. Let me just grab a piece here. Now we're going to add some acetate to the inside of our shadow box. So I'm going to add adhesive to the left and the right of the 3/4 inch strip here. And I'm going to tack this one about right down the middle here. I think that's a good spot. This little square that we cut out, I'm going to put this right up here in the corner. I just need a little bit of it showing in this corner here. So we're going to tack that down. And this 1/2 inch strip, we're going to place towards the bottom here. We'll put some adhesive on the left and the right, and I'm going to tack it here. So when you flip it over, we have one down the middle, one towards the bottom, and that little corner piece. And actually the little corner piece, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just angle it like this, trim a little bit more off. Okay? Now we're going to bring in our colored in elements. Okay, and I'm going to, first we're going to tack this branch on the inside underneath. I'm going to use my glue and just add a little dot there and connect that branch on the inside. Now since we have the acetate here, now we have a home to put our little bird. And I'm actually going to pop this little birdie up. If you don't want a lot of dimension, you can skip this step and just glue this little bird right on this acetate. But I do want a little dimension on this card. Now after we have our bird and our branch, we're going to add our greeting here that says sing. So I want to flip it over, add some adhesive behind here, and then I'm going to tack this sing down here on this acetate piece. These flowers we're going to put on the inside of our card. And then we have our greeting here. What I'm going to do is cut this in half. I blocked it off, but we're just going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to add a little adhesive behind here. And I'm going to tack this down right at the bottom here. Okay, I folded it flat because it's just easier sometimes to make sure that everything is adhered when it's flat. Now I want a little bit more color around the outside of my shadow box. To do that, we're going to bring in our beautiful bubblegum glitter cardstock, and I'm going to create a bow out of here. It die cuts beautifully, and I'm going to use this bow here. Okay, on the front it's this bow. I'm going to die cut this out, and then I'm also going to die cut out a few thin strips of the bubblegum glitter. So now I have some thin strips. What we're going to do is create a frame. We're basically going to cover the stitch detail from our stitch rectangle die, and we're going to use our glue and just go around the edge here. Okay, and then I'm going to take my thin strips and we're just going to add a thin strip on the top. Then I'm going to trim it with my scissors. And then we'll add another strip down this side. So now our window frame is framed in. Lovely. Okay, we're going to take our bow. I'm going to add a little glue behind here. And we're going to tack our bow up here in this top corner on the middle here. Now remember, this is the corner where we put that little thin piece of acetate. Okay, I did that because this is where we're going to add our charm. So let's bring in our adornment. And we'll also bring in our cord. There's two circled ones. There's one that says there's magic about you, and then this other one says love is never wasted. I thought love is never wasted. I just love that. So we're going to take that. We'll put the rest back. And then I'm going to take my cording. And then I'm going to fold it in half and thread it through my charm. Now what I'm going to do is take a glue dot. I'm going to put it behind my charm here. And then I'm going to put this in that corner here. Give it a good press. And then when you flip it over, that acetate that we put in the corner is sticking to that glue dot, and it's kind of just giving it a little bit of reinforcement. If you wanted to go ahead and put another piece there, you could. You know, just because this little charm is pretty heavy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow here. Now that's the front of our shadow box. We're going to put this to the side, and now we're going to work on the inside. For the inside, this is where our pattern paper is going to come in. Okay, so I'm going to trim down a piece that is going to be slightly smaller than this window. So I'm going to go 3 3/4 by 5. Now I'm going to keep one piece because we're going to do some stamping on it. So I'm going to keep one piece of the pattern paper, but we're going to tack this on the front of our card base. Okay, now what we're going to do is flip this over. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on the left and the right here. And then I'm going to remove the release paper. I'm going to fold it in. I'm going to tack this end here all the way to the edge of my card base. Just tack it right in the front. I'm going to use my bone folder and reinforce it. Okay, and then I'm going to take this piece and place it all the way to this side. And then I'm going to use my bone folder and reinforce that. Okay, and then we can flatten it. And it puffs up pretty well. Look how pretty that is. Now I'm going to take my flower. I put a little bit of glue in here, and we are going to add our flowers on the inside. Put some more glue here. Now I want to add some music notes. So to do that, we're going to do some heat embossing. And then for this, I'm going to be using some white ink here. I'm going to stamp with my Simon Says Stamp white pigment ink. I'm going to stamp a couple sets. I went over them with some white embossing powder, and then we'll use our heat gun and melt them. They're nice and melted. So what we're going to do is take the coordinating dies and I'm going to cut these out. Okay, now I'm going to take my music notes. I want to add a little glue behind here. Now I'm doing it this way because I want to know exactly where I put my music notes. But an alternative would be to stamp your music notes directly on your paper that you adhere to your background. But this, if you do it this way, I think you have a little bit more control of where they go. I'm going to add one more set. Now we're almost done. I do want to add a little bit of shine to the center of these flowers, and I'm going to use my diamond stickles for this. Just add a little bit of glitter. I did put some stickles on the flowers on the inside. I'm gonna ideally you want to wait for it to dry before you close your card. But when it's closed, it closes pretty flat for the most part. The only dimension that we have is the bird that we popped up with the foam square, and then our adornment or our charm. Okay, but now when you let go of it, look at how it pops up. It kind of arches a little bit. I think it looks really cute on a desk. And then of course it is a card, so it opens up beautifully and plenty of room to write a message. And that's my card today using the Simon Says Stamp March 2025 card kit. It's called Tweet Friend. Hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at SimonSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.